Everything is risky, even just going on a flight, that could be extremely risky, right? We don't know what can happen, but we take a calculated risk. People, like you said, the ones who are asking for help, and a lot of them, they actually do need the help. And like I mentioned earlier, and that's what kind of one of the things that motivated me to get into real estate. So I can not just help my family here in Australia, but the one abroad as well. I'm kind of fed up. I'm pretty sure there's an easier way of, living, because most of my money goes on rent, even though I'm getting good money from work. I work in the Northern Territory.
So you are coming from South Sudan, a country with complex history. How has your background influenced your approach to real estate? What would you give them as an advice? What would be the starting point? Not because you're in a better position, but because you're someone who experienced the hardship. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to Point of View. It's your guest speaker, Philosopher X. This time we just thought we'd come back out there to just share a bit more of the hidden talent, the hidden, expertise in our communities or in our surroundings that we normally don't talk about. So welcome to Point of View. We're so happy to have you here today amongst us, in our audience. So it's very important that today we just start off slowly as we're coming back to the show, but mainly we are focusing on the idea of our guest audience. So just to leave it with that, I want to just also continue talking about our guest speaker here. So here to my right-hand side, I have ZUZU. ZUZU, he's also known for ZUZU LMTV. So in a quite few seconds, I'll get him to explain himself a bit more. But today we did not come to actually speak about his vlogging ventures. We actually came to speak about investment as a topic, because he's a financial investor. And I guess I'll allow him to express it in his own words and to see how we can move forward from there. So, ZUZU, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Good to have you. So, you want to just start off by feeling out a bit more about what you do, what you're about, and how did you come to where you are today, basically, just for someone who doesn't know anything about him.
No problem. I'll just introduce myself. Just a quick introduction. My name is ZUZU. I do content creation, and I've started investing in real estate very recent, actually. I haven't been an investor for a very long time, but started about 3 years ago, just before COVID. And recently started just a YouTube for motivation, travel videos, and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, well, that's really good that, you can tell us a bit more of insights. I guess the topic that you've mentioned before is investment.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
It being so early journey in your life, I think that's what we want to kind of, share with our audience about that there's people out there that actually do exist from the same industry. Some of them obviously at a peak level, some of them also starting small, but I consider you as someone who's very, I guess, influential in your own way and the way you approach the idea of investment. So can you tell us a bit more about investment in the sense that your journey in the world of investment, particularly what type of investment do you do? Do you do stock market, or we talk about real estate? Can you give us a bit more insight about that and what inspired you to start investing in the first place?
Thank you. Great question. Like I said, it started 3 years ago, just before COVID. I think my first investment property was in 2020. I live in the Northern Territory, and when I first started investing, I started in the Northern Territory where I live, and I'll explain why I started there very shortly. So I've always been, I've been living in the NT for about 8 years now, coming up 9 years in a few months, and be renting with friends and that. And at some point in time, I got really annoyed of renting properties. And I've rented with friends. Friends moved, and then I was renting by myself, paying very high, rental fees. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's another way around it. Like renting, it wasn't really sustainable. Just keep renting. I'm like, the rent is too high. I get a friend that live with a friend, and then I moved out. And then at some point, I got really pissed off. I was like, I'm kind of fed up. I'm pretty sure there's an easier way of living, because most of my money goes on rent, even though I'm getting good money from work. I work in the Northern Territory. I'm like, I need to find a way. But the issue in that time, I didn't, even all my friends around me, I didn't know friends, family, I didn't know anybody who invests in real estate. So it wasn't an easy start And so I had to do a lot of research. And so what kind of inspired me was just I got annoyed of just renting. I pay $700 a week, 750 a week, and Northern Territory rent is pretty high. And I'm like, I need to find another way. I mean, I can afford the rent, but why burn all that money on rent? And I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't have any role models, family, or other investors, or even a person who invested real estate. So that's kind of what inspired me to get into real estate.
Oh, that's a very interesting. You can basically say that you were forced there by the hardship of the society, because
Yeah.
right now there's a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
And we need to actually understand the underlay of the problem that has brought us to this kind of place right now.
Yeah.
And I guess I can share the same kind of answer, right? In the sense that I find it very challenging as well, right? In terms of meeting the needs to everyday life. We talk about everyday life. We're not talking about significant stuff. We're not talking about flashy cars, flashy mansion. We're just talking about basic everyday needs that we are now failing behind. We've also heard that some people have to pick up 2 jobs for that. So thank you for that answer. It was very detailed in your own way, right? But in addition to real estate ventures, you also have a travel vlog on YouTube called ZUZU LMTV.
Correct.
Right? How does your real estate investments and travel experience complement each other in that kind of sense? So again, back to that investment, because that you just basically identify 2 pillars
correct.
of future income.
Yeah. So the way I see, one of the reasons I have created a YouTube channel was not only about traveling, as the name states, LMTV, which stands for Lifestyle Motivation Travel Vlogs or Videos. The reason I've created a YouTube channel was to make an impact. And one of the things that I wanted one of my stories I wanted to share was to empower people into getting into real estate. Since I figured out a way on how to invest into real estate, I'm like, I would like to also use that YouTube platform to make an impact. So I use it for travel, and I also use it for motivation. I've got a couple of videos where I talk about real estate, and that's one of the reasons why I've created it, so I can do travel, and every now and then I do motivational videos. My motivational videos mainly associated with real estate investments. So I talk about real estate investment a lot. So it just wanted to make an impact and empower the people into getting into real estate, because there's a lot of young people my age or our age who find it extremely hard or impossible. And people from different backgrounds, I find it extremely impossible to get into real estate. I'm like, that's how I used to find it as well. And since I figured out a way, maybe I can just share my experience and my knowledge with other people, just to make an impact in the community. And that's one of the reasons why I've created a YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is fairly new. At the moment, I've got about 800 followers or subscribers on it, but I also do TikTok videos as well. I do some more things on TikTok, so mostly motivation and travel. So
when you say motivation, what do you mean by that? Because motivation itself, it's actually a big field. Are you motivating people to obviously start investing, or you motivating people motivating people to just have a go at it? What is really your objective with that?
Yeah, so it's just to because I've got a couple of people reaching out to me after they have seen a couple of my videos about real estate, that wanted me to do certain videos now, because they're like, oh, you explain it very well, and why don't you tell us about this and that? I'll get a lot of emails, because my email is also on my YouTube channel. So I guess it's all about when I said making an impact, is just motivating people, is just encouraging and empowering people to get into real estate.
So being a voice, being an early voice.
Correct.
All right. Well, that's really lovely. But let's dive even more about your investment property. So you said you've started at NT,
correct,
which is I guess it's probably a very advantaged location to pick right now. Right? Most people saying when you're living in Northern Territory, Western Australia, you got the money. I don't necessarily believe that, because when you measure the money and the living standard, where do you find yourself? Do you find it like living here in Melbourne? It's more, I guess, how do you even say it? Because we're the third livable city. How do you say trying to invest in Melbourne compared to NT? But also, do you have properties or do you have ideas of properties that you want to bring down to Melbourne? Because originally you're from Melbourne.
Correct. So, like I said before, the reason I started in the NT, and I would say NT is not the best place to start investing, and everybody's investment strategies would probably be different. If I was living in Victoria at the time of my investment career, I probably wouldn't have gone to the NT. But the reason I've started there because I was living there, and I've probably bought a property after living there for 6 years of paying rent. And when I calculated how much money I paid in rent in 6 years was over 100,000. And I said, I could have. And when I moved there, properties were very cheap at the time. I said I could have paid off a property if I moved there with the knowledge of real estate. But I had no knowledge. I moved there, started making a lot of money, started traveling, and a lot of people thought you should start travel vlog. That's how later I started YouTube with travel videos as well.
Yeah.
But NT is not the best place for anybody to start investing, and that's for so many reasons. I would just mention one reason that a lot of people don't like to invest in the NT is the property values don't climb as quick or as high as here in Victoria or Melbourne. I bought a property in Melbourne just last year, and it shot up in value way higher than my property in the NT that I bought a couple of years ago.
Correct.
But I don't say if people living in the NT, if you live there, if somebody's moving there who wants to live there for 10 years or whatever, probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm coming up 9 years. So, but to invest there is not really the best idea. So, yeah. I hope I answered your question.
Well, we're just going to keep going by. So how many in total, as someone who started, right? You don't have to expose it to our audience, obviously, but when you started, how did you find the challenges? And right now that you kind of settled in, what kind of challenges are you seeing that you could overcome if you knew a bit more, if you had a mentor, if you had someone to guide you?
So if I did have a mentor or people like friends who were investing in real estate at that time, I guess I would have started a bit earlier. I would have kind of learned from them, and maybe being inspired by them. But because I didn't have anybody, it took me a long time, and I moved there in 2015, and my first property was 2020, so 5 years later. And yeah, if I knew people or if I had the knowledge myself, would have definitely started earlier. But because I didn't have the knowledge and I didn't have the people around me, it just took me a long time until, like I said, I got really mad at renting when I started buying a property. And because I had no plan of leaving the NT, I didn't want to spend money on, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 property. My first property was only $225,000.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and because I'm like, I don't know, is that a good idea or is that a bad idea? And
blind judgment.
Yeah, $225,000 is a lot of money, and I have no idea how am I going to pay this money off. I'm like, it's going to take 30 years. The bank said.
Yeah.
But then later, I'm like, nah, it's not that hard. I don't need 30 years to finish it off. You can finish it off in 5 years if you want to, depending on your strategy. So, yeah.
So that sounds like what you've learned in the process in the early stages. But you mentioned something before about this term, people. If people were there, people were there. Can you just step back a bit and just run me through that whole process? What do you mean if people were there? And the reation why I asked that is, like, are we talking people in terms of network, in terms of mentorship?
Good question.
In terms of what? What are we talking about?
In terms of, like, you would probably know we didn't come from a background where our family had wealth. Right. I came from a background where my family were renting. So if my dad or my mom or my brothers were investing in real estate at the time, I probably would have, had somebody to talk to, or to inspire me. But the people I knew, regardless whether it was family or friends, that had no knowledge about real estate. And I spoke to a couple of people back then, and people were demotivated themselves, so they end up demotivating you. It's like, it's going to take you a long time, man. It's just better to just rent.
That's very interesting that you said that.
Yeah. So I had to kind of take the risk myself and find out.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's actually that hard or it's very easy. And I found out it's pretty straightforward once you know what you're doing and what, you know. And I'm not sure if I told you this. I had to read a couple of books as well, and because when I was first starting, I had nobody to lean on, nobody to talk to.
Correct.
So I had to go online, YouTube, watch a couple of videos, and went on to eBay, you know, Googling some books, and I found two very interesting books which I have learned a lot. That were probably like maybe 200 pages thick. Wasn't like a huge book because I don't like reading books. So yeah, they were very thin, and I learned a lot from those books.
So what are the name of the books? But before you that, you know, I like how you said it's very thin book. You know, that's how you get promoted online. It's a very thin course. It's a very thin this, a very thin that. Thin what? You dive in, you see 2,000 pages, like a lawsuit on you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's very interesting when you say that, right? But and you highlighted your background and where you come from and the hardship that was, you know, kind of, I guess, emerged in as part of your experience. So tell us a bit your background, you know. So you are coming from South Sudan, a country with complex history. How has your background influenced your approach to real estate? So that's the question you were kind of answering. But now I really want you to break it down. How has that really influenced you in terms of, again, the terminology you said before, those people, but I prefer to use networking. So how did you go about that, right? Being from South Sudan, war-torn country, right? Even till today, there's still dispatch happening because our recent war just, you know, it still hasn't ended yet, right?
Yeah. That's a great question again. So we came from South Sudan from obviously not a rich background. And I'm like, our family brought us here to have a better future, and they've been renting properties since, you know, I was born, and until today. I'm like, I don't want to go through this myself, and then my kids will go through this. But if I can start something now, my kids won't have to go through.
Yes, sir.
You know, they won't have to go through that. So that's kind of also what motivated me. And I don't blame like my parents for not empowering us or educating us on these things because they didn't even know themselves. So I'm not going to blame somebody, even friends who didn't know anything about whatever. And if my parents knew and they didn't educate me, I can blame them. But they came from a background themselves where they had nothing. So, and like, since they had nothing, they never earned a property. Maybe we can do it ourselves, right? And I've been to Sudan very recently in 2019, early 2019, before COVID again, and you know, seeing how people living there and how my family live. That kind of also inspired me to try to want to do something not only for myself, like I was saying to
Crossing
you.
the bridge.
Correct. And so I can also make an impact that goes all the way back home. Not, you know, start investing in properties here in Australia. If if anybody becomes a successful investor, then I can also help people abroad. And 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 invest abroad and help people abroad. So
so basically the point that you've touched base is that intergenerational finance or financial wealth, right? That you need to start thinking about. And I think that's where we need to kind of also sometimes step back, right? And just figure out what's actually going on with my paycheck. And I think you did what I've done. I've realized the same thing as you. A while back, I actually sat there in a room. I'm like, I'm paying a lot of rent.
Yeah.
I think that's when the rent went high up there. You know, everyone's kind of questioning their pocket. Where's my money going, right? But I actually set myself down. I'm like, for the last 5 years, I've been renting. How much money have I given out? And when I saw the results, I'm like, whoa, this money could have been a down payment to anything, right? To a business venture, you know what I mean? So I guess you do need to have that stop sometime to just recalculate your situation in life and match it with the direction you're going with. So I do understand a lot of that intergenerational wealth and learning to teach ourselves as well as our future young people on how to go about that, because you are right. We're from a war-torn country. You can't come to this country and expect to just live everyday life. You can't expect to live an average life, right?
Correct.
So always you gotta position yourself and maneuver yourself in a way that you can reach places. And I guess the reason why I said that is networking. You know, you've mentioned it in your kind of way, but I mean networking in a sense like when I started my adventure a while back, it wasn't really like, oh, there's no one here around. I actually changed that mindset. I'm like, there's no one here around. I'm going to go and find it. It means I've been in one place for too long and I can't have that. So I actually started going out there into the community, and I can go as far as west, north, south, you name it. I went to those councils. I went to those individuals, and I'm like, look, I actually need to be around. Well, I didn't even say it, but I just knew I need to be around the presence of those people.
Correct.
So close to the point, if I have a question, I can raise my hand up.
Correct.
Right. So that's the idea that we need to actually kind of speak a bit more about nowadays. And it's more of like, okay, well, networking is not a bad thing. And sometimes networking doesn't have to be an exchange in money format. Right. Having somebody's business number, put it in the back of, of your car, but knowing where you're placing it, tomorrow will kind of help you out in the dark times, So I would encourage the audience out there, that watching Point of View right now, just a little bit of more of whatever you have that is little, it is very necessary that you network that around. You don't have to share it, but you need to learn the ability of networking. You need to understand what networking really is, because that creates a chain of success, a chain of knowledge, a chain of, I guess, market itself. That's how communities are formed. So thank you for that question. So we're just coming back again. You know what? I think it's time for a bit of a quick break, but we're not going to go away for the break. What we're going to do is we're going to spice it up a little bit and introduce a game. So
what's the game?
Pretty much this game is called Two Truth, One Lie. Or you can go the other way, Two Lies, One Truth. And my job is to guess the correct answer.
Okay, I'm going to go with One Truth and Two Lies. Okay, you ready?
I am.
Okay, let's see what I'm going to lie about and what I'm going to tell you the truth. So, the current car I drive is a Jeep. I've got 10 properties and I've been to over 16 countries. I'm going to repeat it again. The current car I drive is a Jeep. I've got 10 properties and I've been to over 16 countries.
Okay. Wow, I thought I knew you, man. Damn, son. All right, so the first one was, can you just kind of...
So I'll go very slow.
Jeep,
so, Jeep.
You don't drive a Jeep. Man, get out of here. The last time I seen your car, dude, I was so jealous and I own no license. Like, you can't tell me that crap right there. I'm not buying that one, no way.
Okay, so you reckon that's a lie?
So that's a lie, definitely.
Okay.
The second one, 10 properties. God damn. You must have been born in 1957 or something to have 10 properties, because it's a hard gig, man. One property is already hard. I think that one is also
a lie.
X.
Okay.
I think the last one is the truth.
I've been to over 16 countries.
Is that true?
I'm asking you. You're asking me, is that the truth?
I think based on doing my research before this actual show.
Okay.
I'd say, you probably have been over 16 countries. Mr. Vlogger.
You actually get some all right.
Did I?
Yeah.
I did my research, right?
You get
yes,
some
sir.
all right,
One for the team.
I don't know how many countries I've been to, but definitely over 16 countries. So.
Can you at least think of top 3 countries that you can remember on top of your head?
I was recently in Singapore.
No, your favorite ones.
I probably don't really have a favorite country. I've been to a lot of beautiful countries, so I don't have a favorite yet. I'm still traveling, so I might have in the future.
Tell me 3 that you can just remember top of your head without having to think.
3, I would say Singapore, Canada, and so Singapore, Canada, and Singapore and Canada. Those are the 2, and I've been to my home country for the first time in 2019.
Your boy got guap.
That was it was pretty all right. So.
You call that money, That team money. Team look me up.
So I would say Sudan and Singapore and Canada.
Yeah. So the last time I went to Sudan was 2017.
Wow.
I wish I went earlier, but obviously with all the challenges over there, it was quite difficult for me to have my second attempt of going back anytime in the last 3 years, because that was my goal anyways. I did not get that. But when I was in Sudan, I've seen a lot of things. You know, I've seen poverty
Yeah.
at the poverty level, and I've seen poverty at player level, and they're both different, right?
Yeah.
Some people actually can live through property and don't feel the property because they know how to obviously maneuver themselves. Others are rock bottom, right? What perception did you get, right, as someone who came from, I guess, Western country, going back to their motherland, their mother country, being a third world country, war-torn country? What are some things you've seen, and how has that changed your perception?
So that kind of just made me feel more grateful of what we have when I went back home. So just because I'm pretty sure, I know I complain a lot, and a lot of people complain a lot about a lot of things. And when I went there and I saw the things that people have and they are not complaining,
Yeah.
like maybe I need to stop complaining,
Okay.
The things I have, the people there that might never have it for the rest of their life, and they're not complaining. So that kind of made me just, feel a bit more to be grateful. So that kind of changed my my perception in a way of, instead of complaining about what you don't have, just be grateful for what you already
But
have.
what about your direct family that keep asking for that check? Don't act like you ain't got those family members.
Yeah.
There's always that guy.
Yeah.
I am too broke. My water is broke. I need to get my life back on. I don't understand these guys sometimes, but they'll find sneaky ways to give you, to sweet talk you with their sweet stories.
Yeah.
And then after that, you'll be like,
and those people, like you said, the ones who are asking for help, and a lot of them, they actually do need the help. And like I mentioned earlier, and that's what kind of one of the things that motivated me to get into real estate. So I can not just help my family here in Australia, but the one abroad as well, because a lot of them actually do need help. You get a couple of them every now and then, the one who just need the money to go and waste it. But some people do need help, and if I can help them, definitely will. And yeah.
So from investment point of view, and I don't expect you to answer this question off now or as of now, but I'd just like to sometimes challenge people's thinking, how would you go about helping in an investment format back home right now? Or do you have a plan to help back home in terms of investment in real estate? And what would be your starting point if you were to go? Because remember, you can help your family, but then that's helping your family. But you keep saying the word impact, right? You want to put that impact, that mark in the world. How would you go about that? How would you attack that real estate industry back home?
So that's something I've been thinking about a lot very recently. Even my mom is encouraging me to invest back home, but the only problem is I don't have a lot of knowledge where we should invest, where I should invest, and where everybody else should invest is where you've done your research first. Even in Australia, it's a bit risky if you haven't done your research. So, and I've started in Australia because I believe I've done enough research. I gained the necessary knowledge to invest here, but I don't think I have enough knowledge about my own home country to start over there. However, it is something that I'm looking into. It's probably in the near future, I might say in less than 2 years. I will go home. It's just like you said, with all the issues, every time you want to start somewhere, there's always issues, and that's one of the reasons. However, it's something that 100% I will start doing if it's in Sudan, in South Sudan, and I just have to do enough research, connect with the right people, and find people who are in some kind of real estate investment or construction and those kind of things. I need to link up with these people and just to gain some knowledge and understand the laws and things like that before going and investing. And a lot of people, even some people, don't invest in Australia without knowing certain laws, like the laws in Victoria and the NT is different.
Correct. Yes.
So obviously before you invest, you need to know the laws. I asked some people, do you pay land tax? And they're like, what's land tax? I never heard of it. And here in Australia. And then when you get a letter or a bill, from the, Victoria State Revenue, you'll be like, what is this about? Because obviously you haven't done your research. And that's why it's good to do your research. But yeah, I haven't started investing back home, but definitely I will get into it.
Is investment then something that you think can turn into a business? Because I reckon if you're going to take that to somewhere like Sudan, it had to be established business. So is that how you're thinking about the whole idea of investment in the long term? But also, have you heard of enterprises called the NGO enterprises?
No,
Now, I actually don't know what that abbreviation means on top of my head right now, but I can kind of explain what it is. So NGO, basically, it's
non-government organization.
Non-government organization. Yep, that's actually what it is. But pretty much what their job or what their role is, or what they do is, let's say you start your real estate company here in Australia, and it has become successful to a certain level, right? Prestige level. You can actually turn around using an NGO, non-for-profit, and partnering up with the government and go, hey, this is a successful business. I want to replicate it because that's what it does. You can actually replicate this with the government in partnership, and you can start the whole process smaller. Because I've been doing a lot of reading in investment. I'm not actually new to this whole industry as well myself, but I like to think a little bit bigger, because I need to think community of people to get the idea up off the ground, right? So that's maybe something that might interest in your thinking in your own time. But I just wanted to share that. But I think back to my question again is, are you aiming for established investment in terms of real estate? And are you trying to move towards that direction?
You mean move towards which direction?
Towards investment, but having a business that, like an agent, like an agent buying land, selling land, or even renting, like that as an agent, as an organization. Are you thinking in terms of that, or are you thinking in terms of personal growth or personal wealth? What are you thinking? Because people out there might be very interested in trying to get in contact with you, right? Either on ZUZU LMTV, or just might reach out to me, be like, look, the guy that you have on your show last time, he was very engaging. We think, or I think I can learn something from him. I want to be mentored by him, or I want to ask questions. How do they go about that? Because then sometimes people tend to ask for your qualification, right? So again, not thinking, are you going to go to uni, get a degree, then be this, but are you thinking about starting a business down the track in this industry?
So it's definitely for personal growth, but at the same time, it is currently a business at the same time. So even though it's for personal growth, but it is also a business. I'm not a kind of a business person who is interested in other businesses. I know there are a lot of people out there who are, which is great. I'm a more of an invest into something that does not require my effort. And real estate, I see one of them. And
so you want to be a deadly assassin, just in the background, rolling around, stacking this money. Ain't no problem, no question asked.
Yeah, so that. But yeah, it's kind of it is a business, and it is for personal growth, and like I said, so to obviously elevate myself from where I'm at, and so I can elevate other people as well.
Yeah, start with this guy.
Correct. So I'm not obviously can't help other people first. I need to help myself so I can. And that's
but
exactly what I'm doing.
In the idea of networking, would you be able to do it? Because networking, you can start a business. Does not mean you have to be the one running everything. You can just be an investor. You got your money, you invest there, right?
Yeah.
Everybody that's with the skills I employed, I found, right? And then you can formulate your business like that, and you can sit in the background, still make your money, right? So there's different ways of businesses when I said it, but I think you answered the question, right? By the way you just kind of approached it. So I'm just gonna kind of ease it back again. I think I have 3 more questions that I want to ask, and we're probably just gonna wrap it up. But before that, guys, you guys are watching Point of View, the show. I'm so happy to have you here. Please like, share, subscribe, whichever platform you're on, because it's very important. Your support is definitely going to support us to have the energy to keep thriving forward and sharing the content. So our content is basically a platform for young entrepreneurs, young artists, right? You name the industry. We want to welcome and just kind of shift the voice away from us and move it towards you. Want to hear what you're about, want to hear your early beginnings and so forth. That's what podcast is about. That's what our show is about, As the name says, point of view. What is your point of view about investment? Is it something that you personally would like to engage in? Is it something you think you're ready for, right? My man ZUZU here, I have his contact. You reach out to me. We can start some sort of networking keyword networking again, right?
Correct,
And share
correct.
that knowledge amongst us. Me, for example, I'm going to put my hand up. I'll be contacting you for some advice every now and then.
Awesome, you're welcome.
So it's all about that. But I guess the word now that I like to go, and I always get tongue twisted with this particular word, but diversification, right? So beyond real estate, you have your vlog.
Correct.
Right? So you have your vlog. And is there any other investments that we have not covered today? And if there is one in your mind, how would you go approaching it?
So at the moment, I'm only investing in real estate. However, I was thinking about starting another business venture either December or not later than March 2024. Something that I will probably talk about in a later video once I started. But yeah, right now I'm just investing in real estate, but I might have another business by next month, either next month or the latest. Yeah, either from December onward to April, March, April next year. So, but yeah, it's maybe we can do another video next time, and I'll talk about it.
No video, man. I want to get in that cut. I want your cut, man. You better call me up, be like, my guy, I got this business coming up. How much money you got?
So I'll talk about it on another episode. But yeah, right now, at the moment, just investing in real estate. However, I will be diversifying my investment strategies, and I will be kind of I wouldn't say investing because it's a business, but I will be doing other business ventures.
Yep. So real estate can be unpredictable. How do you navigate the balance between taking risk and ensuring a return on your investment?
Yeah, that's an amazing question because some people start investing or start business without doing investigating before starting. Everything is risky, even just going on a flight, that could be extremely risky, right? We don't know what can happen, but we take a calculated risk. So the way I approach real estate is by taking a calculated risk, not just getting into it because I think or somebody else think it's a good idea. I do my research. And like I've mentioned earlier, before I got into real estate, I didn't have anybody around me to guide me to get into real estate, but I spent a long time, probably more than 12 months of reading books and, watching YouTube videos. And I've actually met two investors, big investors, one of them in St. Kilda in Melbourne, here in Melbourne, one of them in Oakley, and kind of sat down with them, had a chat, and they kind of gave me some very good insightful information that I didn't know. So the way I take it is just by doing your research, taking a calculated risk. So it is definitely risky, and everything that we do can also be risky. Driving on the road can be risky, but we just need to make sure that we are calculating the risk, so when we fall down, we have a soft landing instead of crashing, if you, So just do your research and don't listen to, like for me, even though I spoke to two people that I've mentioned, but at the same time, I had to go and do my own investigation, do my own research. Because spending $200, even $100,000 on property, you need to get it right. 100,000 is a lot of money. If you get it wrong, that could be an amount of money that you're going to be paying for a very long time. You might not get it back if you don't do it right. So, just by taking a calculated risk and approach and have a good strategy.
Yeah. But also to add more to that, so I don't know if you've heard of this or you've seen it on socials, but lately, maybe in my world, I've been this new report, and I actually don't want to title what the report is because I might get it wrong. But what we'll do is if we do get a chance, we will get the report name somewhere on the screen for you guys to see. But I'll explain what the report does. So the report is a preview pre-sale. Before you purchase a house, you actually just play with the numbers. You say, I want to buy a house for $750. And then it breaks down all the costs. And what it does is it actually gives you data, a 3-month data, and it continues, right? On how you're actually operating, right? And it's very interesting because there's other things within this report I don't want to mention again for a lot of reasons. But once you look into this report, you just put in all your information, all the numbers, right? How much money loan you bought, how much the repayment. It does all the calculation for you. For those people out there thinking, well, I want to start, investments. I want to start getting out there. I would say go and check out this report, right? I would personally make sure that this report is linked either in the description or so forth, so then you can follow it through. But it's a good useful tool, right? So, but thank you for asking that.
Yeah, one of the I would just add to what you said. It's probably similar to the report you were talking about, and a lot of people that probably would have heard about it, either the platform or a computer software that is called CoreLogic, where you have to have a membership.
Yes,
you probably would have heard about it. It's a pretty good platform or software. If you want to get into real estate, it's probably you have to have a membership, and like the membership can vary. If you need a comprehensive information or details about where you want to invest, it gives you pretty good data.
Yeah, now AI is here now. Yeah. Everything's a lot easier, cheaper, and it's on your
So those are one of the things I've, apart from reading books, I was using CoreLogic and having a chat from other people and confirming the information that they gave me by reading a book, and now everything adds up. Or that person said this actually makes sense, and CoreLogic says this. So like I said, taking a calculated guess is a pretty good approach.
So you made that point again. We're going to go back to that idea of books, because I'm a book lover. I love reading, right? When I get the spare time. Anyways. But what I want to actually ask in terms of books, can you name a few books that you have read, especially in the early stages? So then our audience there, myself, right, can purchase it and have a read for ourselves.
I'll mention a name of two books. Actually, I read a lot of books, but the one I benefited from a lot, one of them, it's called the Australian Property Investment Handbook. It's a blue-colored book. It's got a Australian map on it.
Yep.
So like I said earlier, it's a very thin book. It's not a big book, and it's very straightforward. And for somebody who's starting new, you don't want to get a book with 100 pages, and especially when you're new into investing into real estate, you need something a bit simple. And plus, I'm not the kind of person who likes reading. So,
none of us are.
Yeah, so I didn't want to get a book with 1,000 pages, and it's just going to confuse me. And the other book that I also purchased, it's called 7 Steps to Wealth. So it's got the number 7 and then Steps to Wealth. So those books are very thin books and very informative, very straightforward. And I would highly recommend other people who are interested in investing in real estate to probably start looking into it. And that will definitely learn a lot from it. But there are other books as well. But it's good. Those other books are good for people who already started investing in real estate, who already have multiple properties. Then maybe you can start reading the bigger books. But starting new, like when I started, you need to read something that's not going to confuse you.
So do you have what you call a hiccup book? And I'll tell you what a hiccup book. A hiccup book is a book that you always revisit every time you find yourself stuck, right? I personally have one. I don't think I should even talk about my hiccup book, because the title itself is going to offend a lot of the viewers out there. We're not here for profanity. I mean, that could just roll out, but that's not our objective, right? But I would actually still want to share that book. It's called The Capitalist Hiccup. I know, look at everyone. Oh, I'm offended. World's gone crazy. But no, you know what? That book is a hiccup for me personally, because it's like a revisitation kind of a book, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm doing 6 different things, I have the energy, I have the time, but then because I'm doing 6 different things, I find myself lost. So then I have to ask myself, what the heck am I doing? So I revisit the book again and I read the book, right?
Yeah.
But this book is not a nice book. This is not for easy heart. This book will vomit at you. Literally, I'm being dead set. The words there are very detrimental to what they're trying to talk about, because they inspire you and they show you ground level.
Wow.
And they show you what you can do, right? Again, the word is diversification. So I don't want to say black people. I don't want to use N-word. I don't want to say that. But anyone out there who's really very interested, the idea is you need to have what you call a hiccup book or a set of book, right? One phrase that I like, and I think I read it about 6 years ago, it says, a man without a library is like a house without furniture. It's just there.
Yeah.
Right? It's just there, right? So yes, I started. So what happened when I learned that, I started creating a little library, and my library is growing every day right now.
Yeah.
But after I created it for about a period of time, about 6 months, I actually didn't go to the library or read anything in it, right? So that's what that phrase become lively, right?
Yeah.
So in that kind of sense, what would you advise people? What would be advice for aspiring young investors, and I think we can just probably wrap it up in this here, but give us an insight for someone who wants to start off today, right? Who is going to probably go and purchase the book you've mentioned, right? It's going to rewatch this video for the purpose of relearning it, right, at their own time. What would you give them as an advice? What would be the starting point? Not because you're in a better position, but because you're someone who experienced the hardship.
The advice I would probably give to young people who are interested to invest in real estate is people need to take action and not be afraid and not be distracted by a lot of things, even if it's their family, if it's what the media say. You hear a lot of things on the media. The interest rate went up, and you see somebody crying on the news. You be like, I'm not going to get into real estate. I've seen a couple of people crying, but you don't know what they did. Maybe what they did they didn't do a calculated. They didn't take a calculated approach. Yeah. So just because somebody else failed or they're crying, it doesn't mean you're going to fail.
You need to be resilient.
Exactly. So, you need to, be brave, take action. If it's something that you want to do, definitely do your research, and connect with the people. If you want to, buy 10 properties, connect with somebody who's got 10 or more properties. Right, you don't want to talk to somebody who's got 0 or has got 5, but your aim is to have 10. Yes. So definitely, try to network with the people who already have what who already reach your destination.
Your goal.
Yeah, reach the goal that you want to reach. Maybe you just want to have one house. You don't care about investing in. A lot of people just want to own one property, and it's still very important to also, even if you want to just buy one property and you don't care about investing, that's fine. Also, just speak to people who purchased one property, because you don't want to get it wrong. Again, we're talking about big money, even over 100,000. That's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
Right. So your first property, you need to get it right, and if you can get your first property right, and later down the track you change your mind. Oh, I've got one property, maybe I need to buy another one now. The next one is going to be very easy for you because you got your first one right. But if you get your first one wrong because you didn't do your research, you just got into it. It's not going to end up very well later. You're probably going to be stuck with that one for 10, 20 years. That's a long time. So it's definitely something that we have to look into before we get into it. But I would encourage a lot of people to definitely, even if somebody wants to reach people like myself, I'm more than happy to do phone calls, email, to help other people. Even where I live in the NT, I talk to a lot of young people from different backgrounds because they are interested into getting into real estate. And I don't talk to people, they need to pay me money. It's just like, look, I can give you free information if you want. You can read the book, but because I read the book, if you're lazy to read the book, you can just come to me and I can give you the information. But again, you can verify it by going and doing your research as well.
And I guess that's that networking again, right? I've actually tried it multiple times where I tell people, look, let's just make a Facebook account, an Instagram account, whatever people choose to be at, right, whatever platform. But let's make what we call an information group where we just sharing our information, regardless what background you're at, because then we are all sharing the information, right? All information don't have to be precise or the same, but we need to have that ability to share those information, right? So, ZUZU, thank you so much for coming to Point of View, right? We have loved the journey that you've taken us through by answering those questions, right? We have a thorough understanding of what ZUZU is about, what ZUZU LMTV is about, right? So if you want to find ZUZU more down the track, you can find him on YouTube. The name stays the same on Facebook as well as TikTok. So ZUZU LMTV, right? So thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to say before we wrap up today? Because we just love having you here, and hopefully next time we can invite you for a second interview into the show. But hopefully that's after you get that guap, that money, that call comes through. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, though.
No problem. Thank you so much. I don't really have much to say. So, if I've got a couple of videos online on ZUZU LMTV. That's ZUZU and then space LMTV. You can find me on YouTube, like he mentioned, the same name for my Facebook and the same name for my TikTok, ZUZU LMTV, ZUZU Lifestyle Motivation Travel Videos. So yeah, well,
Tongue
thank you for
twister,
having
but I
me.
love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
a lot. All good.
So, Abon Philosopher X, we're now closing up. This is Point of View, the show. Thank you again. Bye.